Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Language Arts Gallery. Today, I want to continue talking about how we can write a great research report. I want to talk a little bit about the research that you did based on our last video and how you're going to structure your thesis statement. And most importantly, I want to talk today about citing our sources and creating a reference list for a research report. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So remember, we said that academic writing is based on this notion of argument, and our argument is found in our thesis statement. So right from our first lesson, we started out where we were doing research. We were creating note cards based on our sources. We were citing where we found this source, what type of source it is. We had the author's names written down. And we took down what the main ideas were from each of those sources. And we're going to use all of that to structure our argument and to develop our thesis statement. So, based on the research that you did, I want you to think about what you're going to argue in your research report. This is going to be your thesis statement. Hopefully, you've got all your sources listed, all the information you gathered from those sources, and the main idea. The information that you will have gathered, that's going to be really important. That's going to help you to support your thesis in the body of your research report. So this is what I want you to do if you haven't already done so. I want you to think about your thesis, your argument, and then how you're going to support that throughout your paper. Now, of course, you're not going to write the entirety of your paper, but you're going to support your thesis with the big ideas that you plan to include in your research report. Then, if you have the option, if you're working with friends or with classmates, I want you to trade cards. So that way you have the opportunity to read your classmates' thesis and your classmates' argument and give them some feedback. We're going to talk in a moment about counter arguments. If you don't have someone to work with, see if you have a friend who's willing to read your thesis and how you intend to support that and get some feedback from that person. So when you're reading your classmates' thesis and argument, think about what some counter arguments are. What are some holes in their research? If you don't have someone to work with, read your own thesis and think about what some shortcomings might be. It's always a little bit harder when we do our own work and then we look at it and we have to critically evaluate the work that we do, but it's a really important part of being a great writer. So we want to make sure that we take the time and we look at what we've put together and we think about how we can make that better. Now I want to get into something that's really, really important when we're doing research reports. It's a little bit different than other genres of academic writing, and that is citing our sources. We've talked largely about different genres of the 5-paragraph essay, and this is largely what we're writing for our teachers in school. And we're not expected in most cases to cite our sources, particularly when we're drawing on logic or personal experience. We're sharing our own story. But when we're writing a research report and we're citing formal sources, we want to make sure that we give credit to the person whose ideas that we're using. So this is also important for the person reading our paper if they want to go back and find a little bit more information based on the sources that we've used. So we are going to include the author's name and the year of publication in our text. That's our in-text citation. If we include a quotation, we want to include the page number. And we also want to make sure that whatever we're quoting, we use quotation marks to show exactly what that author said. So let's take a look at this here. Okay, here I've got a book called A History of Online Education by Tom Smith. It was published in 2009. And I've got what I learned from it. I've got these 3 big ideas. So the first 2 ideas are just big ideas that I took from the text. Third is a quotation. So I want to include the second thing that I learned in the report, which is online education has grown tremendously in the last 10 years. That's number 2, right there in that report. So I want to include that. So all I need to do is include that, and then I'm going to use parentheses and write the author's name comma, and the year of publication, 1997. Now, I didn't quote anything. I just included an idea, but that idea came from Tom Smith's book. So I want to make sure I give Tom Smith credit for that idea. Now, if I wanted to include that third point, that's a little bit different. Here I'm using a quotation. So in this instance, I would say almost all universities have some form of online education. Smith, 1997, page 97. Why did I include page 97 here when up here I only said Smith in 1997? Well, because in this source right here, or this excerpt from Smith's book, it's a direct quotation. So because it's a quotation, I need to ensure that I've used quotation marks to show exactly what he says, and I included the page number. So now let's get some practice with a different source. This is a book by Joe Riley, and it's called Environmental Conservation, and it was written in the year 2012. And I've got 4 important pieces of information here, including one direct quotation. So I want to create in-text citations for each of these 4 things. Now remember, our in-text citation is what's included in the body of the paper. So for the first, the third, and the fourth, I would simply put Riley 2012. For example, here, the polar ice caps are melting at an increasingly fast pace. Riley 2012. If I wanted to use the second bit of information here, I would use quotation marks and I would say Riley 2012, page 3, because that's a direct quotation. So now I put this in the body of my text. So my reader knows that this information came from Riley 2012. But who's Riley? And what's the name of the book? They need to find that information. All they see is Riley 2012. Well, that in-text citation is going to help them to find this in the reference page, the list of references. Sometimes this is called a bibliography. Sometimes it's just called a list of references. These are going to be listed in alphabetical order, okay? And we're going to take a look at what this looks like here. Okay, so here I've got these references. They are all put in alphabetical order. If I've got an author with the same name and year of publication, then I will have A, B, and C to differentiate between the different sources, and that'll also appear in the in-text citations. So this is going to make it easy if our reader wants to learn more from this particular source of information. It makes it easier for them to find it. So I've got a book. I've got a website here, and I've got a journal article. Okay, so I've got a pretty good, a bit of variety in terms of my references here. So let's look at the first book here by Riley J. 2012. What is New York? It is not the author's hometown. New York is the place of publication. And Wiley Blackwell is the name of the publisher. So let's look at some other information that are included in different sources. So here in the third source, I've got retrieved from. So I've got the website that I used, that I went to get this information. In the fourth citation here, Webb, Doman, and Poussey, I've got the year of publication, Flipping a Chinese University EFL Course, What Students and Teachers Think of the Model. That is the title of the article. The Journal of Asia TEFL, that is the name of the journal, and that is italicized. I have got the issue and the number, 11 and 4, and 57 to 87. Those are the page numbers that this article appears in in this issue of the Journal of Asia TEFL. So that has all the information that my reader would need to go to that academic journal and to get that article. Okay, some helpful hints when you are referencing your paper. I love Purdue OWL. Purdue OWL, OWL stands for Online Writing Lab. There are other online writing sites out there that can help give you some tips about how to format and reference your paper. I really think Purdue is fantastic. They have a lot of great resources out there. So you can go to owl.english.purdue.edu/owl. So that's, again, a really terrific source. Again, just a note on plagiarism. I've taught writing all over the world, and there are different attitudes about plagiarism in different cultures. I think it's very much a cultural reality. Certain cultures I've taught in, to use someone else's work is, wow, you're really showing great respect for that person by citing or using something that they would say, which is true, but just remember that it's important to give that person credit, particularly if you're writing in an American university context and other university contexts throughout the world. In America, you can be expelled, you can fail the class, so there are real consequences for this. So make sure that you are properly citing your work. I want to talk just briefly before we go about the timeliness of sources. This really depends on what you're writing. If you're writing, there's what we call seminal works. That means a really important publication. It could be a book, it could be a journal article, something that started a particular field of inquiry. It's okay to cite that, even if it's very old, because that is considered a seminal work or an especially important work in that field. It's always good to find more timely sources of information that complement that. If you're writing a literature review for a thesis or a dissertation, then you're going to want to look for sources that have been published in peer-reviewed journal articles in the last 5 years. If that's what you're writing on, I suggest you check out some of my other videos on advanced academic writing and research. I've got a whole course devoted to that and how you can structure your research and your literature review. Okay, now finally, talking about introductions, we've talked in our essays about the importance of hooking our reader. That's really important. We want to do the same thing in a research report, but we are not going to use the same type of language that we use in, for example, an opinion essay or a persuasive essay or a problem and solution essay. We want to hook the reader, but we want to use more formal academic language. We're not going to ask a rhetorical question. We are not going to start with an exclamation or a strong statement. I think using facts is a great tool for writers to engage their audience. So if I was writing about global warming, I might say by the year 2050, all polar ice may be completely melted. That's a great way to engage our reader. So depending on how long your research report is going to be, you're going to want to introduce the topic that you're writing about and share your thesis statement. You are going to include the research you've done that supports your thesis, and then you're going to go to your conclusion. In your conclusion, you don't want to introduce any more information, any new information, I should say. You want to restate your thesis, summarize your big points. You may also talk about shortcomings related to your research. That's okay. All research has shortcomings. And talk about directions for future research. What are some things that other people can do that would complement the work that you've done? So hopefully if you've gone through all our videos to this point, then you're ready to write your first draft of your research report. When doing so, please remember to cite your sources and to create a bibliography. So thank you so much. And you can find this resource and all of my academic and creative writing resources in my Teachers Pay Teachers store, which is linked in the video description. And I'll see you in our next video.